2018, maybe on a beach in Naxos, Greece, we decided that we needed a paradigm shift in our lives. Instead of working 48 weeks a year to do the things that we love for 4 weeks, we wanted a lifestyle that allowed us to do the things we love all year round. From that conversation, DwnShifters was born, and a year later, we've moved into a 2019 Ford Transit that we converted ourselves.
We're changing to a lower gear, squeezing into a custom-built van, and exploring the country. Learn with us and come along for the ride. Hey, I'm John from DwnShifters, and Jess is humaning the camera today. Say hey, Jess.
Hi.
Today we're going to talk about how to make your own custom roof rack for about $300. We had some very specific things that we wanted to put on our roof, such as a skylight, our max air fan, and 600 watts of solar. And just shopping around, looking at custom roof racks was going to be super expensive. So we came up with our own strategy that was inexpensive, that's made from off-the-shelf parts. So I'm going to walk through this today to show you how you can make your own roof rack for a similar cost. So in the back we have our max air fan and then two antenna, one for our Wi-Fi, one for our cell phone booster. And then we have a series of 3 100-watt panels. And then as we move over towards the center here, you can see that we have an LED light bar that illuminates the opening at the sliding door at night when we're getting to a new site. And we have our Dometic Heki skylight. And then in the front, we have a series of another 300 watts of solar for a combined total of 600 watts that are charging our electric system in the back. So conceptually, the way that the roof rack is set up is we are using a Unistrut product. Unistrut is typically used for suspending objects or elements from ceilings. You can also make cabinetry and other stuff similar to 80/20. The nice thing about Unistrut, though, is that it's a cheaper product. So what we have is there are a series of factory holes that are on the roof of the van, and this will be true for every van because a lot of vans become work vehicles and you need a roof rack on top of those vehicles. So we have two lengthwise cross members of Unistrut. One of them is here and then the other one is closer to you in the shot where the LED light bar is attached. These lengthwise units, we're using 10-foot pieces, but that's going to depend on how long your van is. Our van is an extended, so the 10-foot works quite well, and it's a stock length. You can, however, cut Unistrut quite easily if you need to with an angle grinder or other cutting device that can cut through steel. The other direction, our cross members are 5-foot Unistrut pieces. So on each side of the panel, we have a 5-foot member here, and then we also have a 5-foot member on the other side. And then we bolt each of our panels to the cross member and to each other. So we actually drilled holes in the frame between these two solar panels and bolted those as well. The reason that we're doing that is when you're doing 70, 80 miles an hour on the freeway, you're going to get a lot of upward lift on your panels. So some of it will be pushing down as the wind comes over. Any wind that gets under the panels is going to lift up on it. So the more that you bolt and tighten everything together, the more secure your system is going to be. When you're putting the lengthwise Unistrut on the roof, you're going to want to provide a spacer. This spacer lifts up your Unistrut so that it's not on the roof. We can see the factory hole location is actually slightly depressed into the surface of the roof. We want to raise this off of the roof so that it's nice and flush, and when we stack our assembly on top of it, that it's going to be able to go over the top of the curvature of the roof without resting on it. We use the product from DIY Vans. The links to this are in the article on our website, which we'll post below. You can also see that our LED light bar is attached at this location too. And this is just a bolt through into a strut nut. The strut nuts again are underneath from the inside. You screw that in and it clamps it really nice and tight so that it will stay while you're driving. Once you've bolted all of your panels to your cross member, you're going to want to drill a hole in each cross member where it meets the lengthwise unistrut. So we have a hole that goes from this side to this side right here at this location, so it matches this corner bracket or angle bracket so that it can be connected to the panel assembly and then attached to the lengthwise unistrut. What I like to do is connect all 4 of the corner brackets first, all the way around the panel, and then you can slide the whole assembly back and forth until you get it exactly where you want on the lengthwise unistrut. Once you have it placed where you want it, then you're going to use these bolt connections. They're threaded bolts to connect to the unistrut spring nut. And that piece is actually inside the strut and will clamp down to secure your solar panel assembly. We have an LED light bar that's on the front of the van, and this is actually attached through another pre-drilled hole that we did before we put the panel assembly on the top of the van. So this is just connected through a bolt into the unistrut cross member. We also then attached our solar panel assembly to the lengthwise unistrut with the corner or angle bracket on the inside. So that gave us the ability to slide this forward and not have an angle bracket that had to be attached to the front. Right behind that, you can see that we have an eye bolt. This eye bolt we use for our DIY awning hack. Full details on that on our website, but about $100 to create your own awning. And then you can also see that we have another DIY van spacer here, and they go all the way around the van at the factory roof attachment locations. At the back of the roof rack, we have our other eye bolt for our DIY awning. And then we have our clamshell connectors, which are used for boats. So these are a really nice way of keeping water from penetrating into your van for your cables. And then speaking of cables, what we really liked about the unistrut was that it created a chase that we were able to run all of our cabling in the valley of the strut itself, along with zip ties to keep things off the roof and minimize any rattling from the cables or wires. And then lastly, you can see how we did the bolted connections here for our antennas. We just pre-drilled holes into the unistrut and then assembled these before we put them on the lengthwise unistrut channels. The unistrut that we're using is steel, and it was powder coated when we purchased it. We got black powder coated because we wanted it to match everything that was on top of the van. Some issues that we're experiencing though is that the powder coating is starting to scratch off a little bit, which is starting a bit of rust. If I could do this again, or if we do our next version, we'll use aluminum unistrut because it's lighter weight. It's also rust resistant. And if you scratch the aluminum, it's not going to create any rust, obviously. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about DIYing your own camper van, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you haven't checked out our design build yet for the inside of our van, you have to check it out. We have a queen-size Murphy bed, a full garage, even a doghouse. We have lots of content on our website at www.DwnShifters.com. Go check it out. Thanks again.
Thank you.